let's talk about this idea of 6 of 6. 6 of 6 equals tritone half diminished. What does that mean? Well, if we do a normal 2-5, and we're going to be in C major, let's say. So C major, 6, 2, 5, 1, 6, A minor, right? Very common. Okay, well I can do that in minor. Now, you hear this all the time. That's 6 of 6. Why? Because C minor is the 6 of E flat major, because we know minor 2-5s are 7, 3, 6. C minor is the 6 of E flat major. A is the 6 of C, because we know that when we do a minor, or when we do 2-5, it's the same root movements, even in major. Major, 6, minor. So that movement you're going to hear everywhere. Now, a great tune that does that is What's New. Now, you can see it right inside the tune. It's really perfect. So, there it is. And this is another great tune for the parallel key movement, because what it is it's in C major, and then next thing you know, you're in C minor. Then you're back at major. So you just went through really 3 keys, because you go to A flat real quick. So why does A flat work? Well, A flat major, which is flat 6 of C. Well, A flat has an E flat in it, especially when you 2-5 to it, which we do. B flat minor, E flat 7, A flat major. Well, right there you just played parallel key movement. You used all the same notes in C minor alien. Flat 7, B flat, flat 3, which is E flat, A flat, which is flat 6, right? So by doing this, you're essentially already hearing C Aeolian. So I think that's why this sounds so good in this tune. Major, 2-5 to the flat 6, which is going to sound very Aeolian sounding overall from the home key, right? Which is C. This definitely is a major 2-5. Sounds like a major 2-5, right? But the notes that you're using then lend perfectly to C minor. 6 of 6. C minor is the 6. A minor is the 6 of 6. And look at 6 of 6 has the relative minor in it. C minor is right there. Second inversion, but it's all C minor. Put a tritone in the bass, A, because A is the tritone of E flat. So here's 6 with a tritone in the bass. That creates an A half diminished chord. It's perfect. So this is why I think 6 of 6 is such an important sound, because you end up hearing it everywhere. And we're going to go over some other tunes, but I wanted to add this song because it does 6 of 6 perfectly, and it also has this idea of parallel movement, right? Parallel key movement. C major to C minor. 1 chord to 6 chord, right? So I think that's very important, and you hear this movement all the time. So What's New is a great example of that. It approaches it from the flat 6 major, which is conveniently works perfect because it uses all those same notes as C Aeolian. Then you're back in major. 6, 2, 5. Notice how that's the same movement in major and minor. So that's why I call it 6 of 6. And my ear hears it like that. Because when I do this, 1, 6, 2, 5, 1, 6, 2, 5, minor 1, 6, 2, minor 2, 5 to 6, 6, 7, 3, 6, 6 of 6 tritone, right? So I think that's why this is very important, and this is a good tune that kind of does both. You know, it does 6 of 6 in the tune, and it also does this idea of parallel cube movement perfectly, which, you know, going from the flat 6 major, again, when you do flat 6 major, 2-5 to A flat, B flat minor, well, B flat is the flat 7 in C. E flat 7, well, E flat 7 is the flat 3 in C. A flat major, well, A flat is the flat 6 in C. So what you end up hearing is Aeolian, C Aeolian. Right, so that's the idea of kind of how I'm hearing this. And again, it's the blues, right? If you watch that video, we play major and we play minor. So I think that's why this is such an important idea, and we'll kind of jump into the Benny Golson application of this. Let's jump into something else. Let's jump into Whisper Not. Benny Golson does this all the time. And you can kind of jump through this. This kind of shows you the chords that I'm playing. So if we're in C minor, you kind of saw me already though. And since C minor is the 6 of E flat, A is our A half diminished. That's tritone of the 1. 6 is our, you know, C minor, which is, you know, again, I'm going to make another video of this, but people argue, you know, that, well, that's minor 1. It's like, yeah, it is, but, you know, I wrote it. There it is right there, minor 1. But really what you start to realize is when you start to hear things, in my opinion, deeper, you really hear this as the 6. You know, and this is just the way I do it. It's the way I hear things. This is what really helps me. So if we're thinking Whisper Not, because this is a very Benny Golson kind of thing to do, which is why I really love it. And this is what really made me hear this movement. And this is kind of the next level of it, because what ends up happening is you can use this as a catalyst to move to other keys very easily, because the way that these half diminished chords act, you can easily create minor 2/5 chains, which is pretty cool. So if we look at Whisper Not, it's kind of introducing this idea of this, you know, chain of minor 2/5s, but it takes you to different keys, which is very cool, and it's very specific keys. So if we look at Whisper Not, there's 1. We just changed key. So let's go through it slow, because I can't really talk and play at the same time. So if we're thinking C minor, in my opinion, this should be written in D minor or F major, because that's where it resolves. But it starts on C minor, which is fine. So there's really many ways to hear this, but in my opinion, we end up resolving to D minor, and we do this really cool ending, which we can get into after. But let's go back to the top. So C minor. Sorry. So we have this minor 2/5 that goes to G. Well, if we're in C minor, and the key signature even says E flat major, right? 6, E flat's our 1. Okay, cool. Well, if we do that, 6, look at, you have the A half diminished. And remember, tritone half diminished, aka 6 of 6, is literally C minor with a tritone in the bass. The minute you do that, you get a perfect A half diminished chord. So that's why I think it sounds so good to us, because the top part, 75% of it is just relative minor. It's 6 chord, right? Very strong sound. And then you just put the tritone in the bass of the key that you're in, E flat major, 6 chord C minor. A is tritone, you put that in there, 6 of 6, then all of a sudden you get this really cool half diminished sound. Which, what's new, takes it, you know, it even includes that minor 2/5. You know, it includes the cycle 5, tritone half, 2 half diminished, 5 1, or tritone 7 3 6 It's kind of how I'm hearing it. You can watch all the parallel key movement stuff, but let's not get into that. So C minor, Benny Golson, he does this chain, because look at what happens when you do this. You can pivot and do a minor 2-5 in a different key. So you use this movement, 6, then use the half, the 6 of 6, the tritone half. Use that as a new 7-3-6. Use it as the half diminished in a minor 2-5, right? So minor 2-5, watch the video. I hear it as 7-3-6, and you can hear it as minor 2, 5, minor 1. The same thing. I'm just trying to be clear on how I'm hearing things. So what ends up happening is when you do that, you can create this chain of movements of minor 2-5. So 6, 6 of 6, which becomes the new minor 2 in the minor 2-5 in G. So we're like going to G minor. And then it does it again. It goes to D minor. So what's happening is you're using these 6 of 6s to create a chain of minor 2-5s, which end up going in a cycle 5 movement, which is kind of cool. And when I played Benny Golson, especially this tune, you really hear this idea, and that's when it really clicked. I was like, oh, wow, look at it. It's that same movement that we do all the time. And all these, standards do it a lot of different ways, and we can get into that in a second, but I listed them out right here. So those are just ones I could think of. I'm sure there's many more. But it's a very common movement. So when you go through these, you can see how Benny Golson is using these minor 2-5s in conjunction with the 6 of 6. The 6 of 6, or tritone half, contributes to the cycle because you replace that 6 of 6, which is a half diminished chord, with the other kind of half diminished chord, which we do, which is a minor 2-5, right? 7-3-6. Again, watch that video if you want to get clear on what I'm saying. So what's cool about this is you can go through all these chords. I mean, I'm playing them right now for you, but that's what's really happening in Whisper Not, which is really cool because you get this motif that he does a lot, and then the rest of the tune happens. But the idea is you get this movement that is very reminiscent of this 6 of 6 movement, which you see in I Thought About You. All right, so we can get into this idea of using this movement now in cycles. So we'll get into that tune in a second because it uses the same idea but in a little bit different way, but same kind of sound. Now, the cycle is cool because I like to make my students do the cycle over and over because, again, when you say we're in C minor, 6th chord of E flat major, right? Okay, so 6, 6 of 6, which becomes the new half diminished of the minor 2-5. Now I'm in G minor, B flat major, right? 6th chord, 6 of 6. Use that as the new half diminished, going to D minor. Okay, cool. So I do that. Maybe I should move this screen. So we're in D minor. You can keep going. 6 of 6. Now we're in A minor. Now notice we keep moving keys in a certain fashion, right? It's always 5th, cycle 5. So let's start in C again. And I believe I wrote this out in the bottom. I don't think I did all 12 because I ran out of charts. But if we go a little bit down. So look at Benny Golson uses this harmonic movement, the 6 of 6 is the new 2 half diminished of a minor 2-5. Perfect. Okay. This then leads to a cycle of minor 2-5s via the 6 of 6 harmonic movement. Perfect. So it's very nice because you can pivot and go from one to the other. Now this leads to a different key that is very closely related when looking at circle fifths. It's a fifth away. We already know that the 5 or dominant is very common. That's sound, right? Going to the 5 key. So aka blues. Look, it always comes back to that for me. So this movement can be cycled on all to 12 keys very easily and is good practice in understanding and hearing that 6 of 6 movement. So it looks like I started in C, like C major, So let's go to this key just so for sake of clarity. But if we start in C major, right? Okay. So we're going to do a minor 2-5, right? We're going to do 2-5 to the 6. Oh, it looks like I wrote it like this. So 2-5-1, which I wrote as 7-3-6, and we're going to do 6 of 6, which is now the new 2 chord, or the new 7 or 2 half diminished, aka the same thing. So we're thinking in many different ways. That's going to be the new half diminished of another minor 2-5 to E, which is the 6 of G. So if we think about it, we went from C major to G major via the minor 2-5s, via the 6 chord. So in C major, our minor is A minor, right? That's our 6. And you can see I wrote it. There's the 6. You see the root 7, 3, 6. I wrote it in Roman numerals down here. And then 7-3-6 tritone. Now this chart right here is where you start to kind of move keys. That's why I wrote it in 2 layers. So it's the tritone of C major, which is the 6 of 6. But now we're going to go to G and we're going to play 7, a minor 2-5-1, or 7-3-6. That's the idea, right? That's how my ear hears it. I know people are going to argue with me. I don't care. It's just, this is how I do it. This is how I hear things. And honestly, this is how I learned from at my church gig. This is how these guys talk. Like, I love it because when I'm playing with them, when we do parallel movements, this is how they're hearing it, which is it's a clear way of hearing it. You know what I mean? Because really, again, I'm going to make another video. There's no such thing as minor 1, in my opinion. It's always either the 6 most of the time, the 2, or the 3, right? So, and I'm not saying you shouldn't hear it as minor 1. I hear it in both. That's all I'm saying. You should do both, because this is very helpful when you hear. Now instead of thinking everything as minor 1, when it's not, most of the time it's relative minor. You don't know what love is built off of the 6 chord, right? Six of 6. Yeah, yes, that sounds like minor 1, but really it's the 6. Because look at when you go to the bridge. Right? Anyways, we don't need to get into that, but that'll be in a different video. So let's keep moving on with this idea. So we start in C major. So we go 7-3-6, 6 of 6 right here. And then when we do that, we hear B half, E7 to the 6, A minor. That's the new, 7-3 or minor 2-5 in E minor, which is we just went from A minor to E minor. That's a fifth away. That's C major to G major. So you're moving to the right, in the circle of fifths. I guess it would be this way for you guys, or whatever it is. Anyways, you're moving clockwise, right? So key center wise, which is really cool. And when you do this, you can go through all 12 keys, which is pretty convenient and sounds cool. So I wrote a few out, and I say at the bottom, just keep going. So let's try and go through all of them real quick. Maybe I can just play them for you, and you can kind of check out those charts. So if we just start with the key that we were in. So we're in C major, aka A minor, right? See, that's the thing. Even when you describe tunes that are in minor, everyone always says, "Oh, you mean A major or A minor?" It's like you're literally asking, is it the 1 or is it the 6? 1 or relative minor? It's like that. I mean, that's why I hear it like this. Anyways, let's stop ranting. So let's start with B half, and we're gonna go minor 2-5 to the 6. 6 of 6, which is the new 2 in the minor 2-5, right? Of E minor. 6 of 6. You hear that sound, now that's the new 7-3 or minor 2-5. That's the new one of F sharp, right? That's the new one. We're gonna go to D flat. Okay, that's the new minor 2-5 of A flat. which is the new minor 2/5 of E flat minor. C half is the new 2 in B flat minor. G is the 6 of 6, which is the new 2 in F minor. 6 of 6, like You Don't Know What Love Is, does exactly that in the same key. New key, C minor. And then we keep going to G minor. Now we're at Whisper Not, see? It's literally Whisper Not. Now let's keep going. And now we're at B half again, right? So we just went through all 12 keys. So we did, we started in C major, went to, started from C major in the sense that we did minor 2/5 to the 6. So let's try it one more time. So 6 chord, or I'm sorry, 2/5 to the 6. A minor. 6 of 6, which is the new 2/5 in E minor. 6 of 6, which is the new 2/5 in B minor. 6 of 6, new 2/5 of F sharp minor. And this is good because it makes you play this in the two different ways on guitar, right? 2 different positions. Whether your 2 is on the E string like that, or if it's on the A string, E flat minor, B flat minor, G half, new 2/5 to F minor. You Don't Know What Love Is, exactly same key, C minor. Now we're at Whisper Not. E half to D minor. That's where Whisper Not stops. We're going to keep going. We just got back to A minor. So we just went through all 12 keys. So that 6 of 6 movement, you start to really hear it. Ba da 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 da. Right. It's everywhere. So let's jump into some tunes that do this. And there's a few different ways now that we kind of use this idea, because it's the root movement that we just did, the ba da 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 from minor 2/5, just like Benny Golson kind of does, but we cycled through all 12. Well, when you do that, you can do that from certain positions, diatonic to a key, and certain songs that we play all the time do this. So one of them is I Thought About You, which is a very good one, because it kind of introduces that one, and Days of Wine and Roses does it. So let's do I Thought About You real quick. Now there's different ways of approaching this. Sometimes you don't have to just do it from, you don't just have to do it from the 6, A lot of tunes, like Cole Porter does this in Night and Day. He does F sharp, right? And then the later half of the tune, or the A section. So we go like, night and day. Right here. So he kind of approaches it not from the 6. He kind of just goes right to it, which is fine. And it sounds really good. And another thing that you got to notice that I wrote inside the description on this is, notice how the 6 of 6 or tritone half diminished, same thing, right? That's why I titled it like that. The tritone, well, when you use this, all of a sudden, if we're in C, right? C major. And I say, okay, follow me. And I say C major, B half, E7, A minor. Let's do 6 of 6. That's kind of how we were approaching it. Okay, but now let's do this. Let's do F sharp half, B, E minor, A, D minor, G. So it completes the cycle 5 movement. You can do tritone, 7, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. Okay, let's see if we can get that to work again. Tritone. So tritone, 7, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. All right, so that's kind of how you can use it in different ways. But then the other way besides that is, like, if we do a tune like I Thought About You, let's just jump into this real fast so you guys can see it. So we're in F. I like to start on F and not, notice right there, they have the tritone immediately. So the key signature should be F, but they didn't do this. This is not a very good chart. Let's get a different one. So I like to start on the 1 because it's, I don't know, it sounds nice to me. in my opinion. Oh, that's the weird one. Okay, hang on 1 sec. I think it's that one. Yeah, this is a good chart. So you've heard this a bunch. And, you know, that's it right there. You just did. Except they go B half to A minor, A flat, tritone sub, right? G minor, C. So this approaches it in a tad bit different way, whereas you just kind of go from the 4. B, da, 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 do, A minor 4, and then from here, if you do that walk up, I guess it kind of comes straight from the 1. It depends on how you do it, but if you want to do that little walk up, it's kind of nice. B, da, da, da. And then here, it does it. A second time, I always do this. I like that. You know, that B is crucial right there. So when you do it the second time, you do B half, B flat, da 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 down, ba 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 do boom. Now look at this. Watch right here. We're gonna go from B da 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 do dee. So right here it does exactly it. It comes from the 1. It goes to the 6 with a little bit of a walk down, kind of like Whisper Not, to the tritone half diminished 6 of 6. So this D minor is the 6, B half is the 6 of 6. You hear that all the time, that movement. See, and they do a little tritone subs here, like that B flat's a tritone of E. So it creates this chromatic movement, right? So that's one example of how to use 6 of 6 when you're coming from the 1. 6 of 6. So that's one technique. You know, it's kind of the same way we did it earlier. And another technique is to just kind of go straight to it. You know, from here you're going 2-5, and then went straight to 6 of 6 or tritone. So that's one other way. Another way to do it is you kind of come from the 4, minor 4. You can go back to 1. If you do this walk up, you're coming from the 4 right here. You go up a half step, takes you right to B half, 6 of 6. But if you come from the 1, well, then you can just go right to the tritone, right? Which creates this minor 2-5 to the 6. So, you know, that is how you end up getting to the 6, is using that minor 2-5, the 6 of 6 tritone half, which is really cool. So let's go through another one. Days of Wine and Roses does it also, and is a good example of how another approach of it. It kind of does both, which is really cool. So we're in F, right? Now this tune uses the same movement, but from another perspective in a sense, which is cool, but it still sounds like that movement to me. So we go to the, go to the 2, 6, 2, I'm sorry, 3, 6, 2. Let's start that again. So out from this, let's just start from the top, let's say. I'll go slow so I can talk. Flat 7, 6 dominant, which goes to the 2, minor 4, which creates kind of a 2-5, but it goes to 3, 6, 2. Now if you don't play that C, it's exactly the 6 of 6 movement, but from the 2 in this sense. So let's look at this. This is a cool way of playing this. You know, it depends on who you're playing with a bass player or not. and who you're playing with, they might do this. This is the 2. If you kind of skip this C, which is fine, you can do that, and you kind of walk down as a bass player. You know, if I was playing solo guitar, this would be a movement that I could do. I go right to the E, 6 of 6, which is really not 6 of 6 in F, but it is if G is the 6. Now you're kind of overlaying 2 different keys, which is, we do that a lot, but you know, this is kind of using that movement from the 2 is kind of how I hear it. You know, G is the 6 of B flat. Well, B flat's just the 4 of F. So it's like you can kind of think of it, hear it in 2 different ways, which I think is good. You should do that. You should hear it as, oh wow, that is overlapping B flat major, and it's kind of introducing another flat. Okay, wow, that's why that sounds good. It's not too foreign, right? That minor, you know, that minor 2/5. So this is a good way of moving, you know, from the 2, it goes, you know, 6 of 6 movement, but right to the 7. This is the 7 of E. Of F. E is the 7. So, and then what does it do? Well, then it creates another, it's just a minor 2/5 that goes to D minor, which we can kind of get out of it. 2/5, and then we do the top again, which then, three, 6, 6 of 6, a true 6 of 6. Kind of does that same tritone, you know, chromatic movement like I Thought About You in the same key even. So this idea is the same sound, right? So if we come from the 6, right to the B half, and then we continue down, which is basically doing the cycle 5 movement, like I said, doing a tritone sub for that though. Usually that would be an E right there, but tritone sub creates this nice chromatic movement. You can tritone sub all these and create just a pure chromatic movement, right? B flat, A flat, G, G flat, F. So that's kind of a common movement. That's another video, tritone subs, but you get the idea. You sub with a tritone away. Now, this song is cool because it does both. It does that 6 of 6, you know, movement, that kind of sound, but not in a true 6 of 6 way the first time, right? It kind of goes down to the 7, but using that sound. It's 6 of 6 if you think about it in B flat. Again, I'm kind of talking in 2 different keys, but I think it's important to hear it like that. Now, all this writing is kind of explaining that idea. I took it a little extreme just to kind of cover all of them in this, and it's, you know, I think the important idea is to really hear this movement through these songs. So for me, like I said, What's New is a great one. I really hear it heard it when I was, you know, realizing this sound and really understanding it. I really heard it in Afro-Cuban tunes because you always be playing from minor 1 or 6, right? And then you always do that 6 of 6. It sounds so good in Afro-Cuban tunes. I got to think of one that does that. I mean, there's a lot of tunes that kind of chord sub with that, but I'm trying to think of one that does it in the form. But I do have a lot of standards right here. What's New? I Thought About You. Days and Wine and Roses. Stella By Starlight starts on it. Right? It kind of moves keys a lot because we're in B flat major, right? Some of you might want to do B flat diminished major 7. I love that chord too. A lot of people do E. Now, you can do it, think about it however you want, but it's the same note is what I'm saying, right? So if we're in B flat, we just kind of cover G minor as the 6. Well, 6 of 6 would be E flat, E half diminished, and that's what it starts on. So Best Thing For You does this in the sense of it creates the 2/5 movements, the cycle 5 movements. It kind of does that idea. So check that one out. Memories of You, I can't remember. That one's very good for diminished movements, but maybe I made a mistake. I got to go back and look at it. But again, we covered You Don't Know What Love Is. That one does it perfectly. So it's in the form, which is nice. You play that D half, a lot of people do. Lullaby of Birdland does this. Very cool. Around Midnight, probably, yeah, it does it. I think it's a little bit different, but kind of same movement. Green Dolphin Street does this. Night and Day does it. We've talked about that. Lullaby of the Leaves does this a lot in the very beginning. It's kind of the movement that you hear. This is a cool one. Cantaloupe Island does the same root note, but it's not a half diminished chord. Now, we don't have to get into this right now, but you know, it's from if we're thinking in F minor, right? Because that's kind of the vibe. You know, you end up going to D flat, which is flat 6. If you think F minor is the 1, or 6, 4 dominant, tritone, right? Sharp 4. But it does, you know, you're doing a D like sus, but that root note is kind of that same sound. So that's kind of another option that's, you know, a little bit more layered because it's not quite half diminished, obviously, but it's the same root. So I think it's important to really hear the root notes, because, you know, you start to be able to introduce this in tunes when you're playing. And I'm telling you, it sounds really good from the 6. Anytime I'm playing in a minor key with people that can really hear, you know, you can introduce that as a chord sub, and it sounds really good. And these are the reasons why. Again, it's really diatonic in a sense, except for the root note, because it's just the relative minor up top, right? If we're in C minor, well, we said that's our relative minor 6 chord. Add a tritone in it, you get A half diminished, 6 of 6. Move like Benny Golson style, and then he stops there. So he only does it a couple, you know, what is it? It would be 1, 2. He does it 3 different ways, right? That chain of minor 2 5s. Again, practice the chain, do all 12 keys. By the end of it, you'll really hear that sound. And then you start to see these movements in these different tunes, like Days of Wine and Roses, right? You notice that you can do it from the 2. Because if you do it from the 2, if we're in F, well, G minors are 2. And I know that that movement sounds like the movement to me, no? And it's because you're kind of borrowing, you know, you're acting as if you're in G minor, which is the 6 of B flat. B flat is the 4 of F, right? So it's all about this movement blues, you know, it's borrowing from that 4 key in a sense. And, you know, granted, you're not doing it as if this is the 6, but it sure sounds like it. And I think that's why we're able to navigate through that. You know, and then it does it from the true 6, 3, 6. If you're a bass player, that walk down would be a crucial, you know. So that it's a great sound. It's a great harmonic technique that I think everyone should really be able to pinpoint. It's a great way to move through keys, like Days of Wine and Roses does, from the 2. You'll notice when you do it from that 2, it's the same sound, kind of borrowing a 4th away, 5th away. So I hope this helps. This is how I hear things. I think, you know, you should be able to do both, and you should be able to do it through tunes. It's the best way of how to hear these things. So read through this. There's some other things that I might have gone into more detail, but I don't want to just sit here and read everything I wrote. So check that out. Check out some of the other videos. Check out the half diminished, or the minor 2 5s, so you understand where half diminished comes from. And check out the parallel key movement stuff. So and try and, you know, I know a lot of people aren't going to like the idea of there's no minor 1, but I don't care. This is how I hear it. And if it helps you, cool. If it doesn't, keep thinking minor 1. It's not wrong. I just don't think it's the complete picture, because, again, you can go minor 1 is 6, minor 1 is 2, minor 1 is 3. And when you start to do this, watch the minor 2 5 video, you'll see when you treat the 2 chord as minor 1, let's say, or 7 3 6, well, you're borrowing this 2 chord is the relative minor of the 4 chord. 1 4 5, baby, it's blues. The 3 chord is the relative minor of the G chord. 1 4 5, baby, it's blues. So that's what I'm saying. you start to really hear these things clearly. This is what helped me. Hopefully it helps you. Check out these tunes. Again, the best way to hear this stuff is through these songs. So check it out and, let me know.